Welcome in to Extreme Talk, presented by Complete Real Estate, where experience and integrity matters. I want to give a big thank you to Complete Real Estate for sponsoring the show all season long, powered by Complete Real Estate. Also want to give a big thank you to Sutton Pools for sponsoring all of the interviews this season. Had some great ones so far in the last couple weeks. And just going to keep going. Bangers after bangers is what we're aiming for here on Extreme Talk. But thank you so much for tuning in, for listening. Very excited about today's show. At 3:15, we're going to welcome on Coach Travis Creasy. He's from Riverside Christian Academy. And everyone kind of knows a lot of people know the story with Coach Creasy. I won't get into it right now, but very, very inspiring story. And so we'll talk to him at 3:15. At 3:40, we're going to welcome on Coach James Honeycutt. He is from the Magnolia Warriors, first year homeschool program out of Mississippi. And they're also one of the teams that are spearheading a new conference down in that area, primarily for homeschool teams, but they've got some private schools, I believe. So we'll talk to him at 3:40 and kind of get caught up on what's going on in the world of Mississippi 8-man football. Guys, this weekend, it's time for some football. This past Friday night was the last Friday night that without football. Now, in some areas, it doesn't start until middle of August or maybe 1st of September, so stinks to be y'all. But here in Tennessee, football starts this Friday night up at Christian Community School in White House, Tennessee. You have the Jamboree that will be happening Friday night as well as Saturday. 6 teams participating on Friday night. You have 4 teams participating on Saturday night. Christian Community School, Lancaster Christian, Tennessee Heat, Tennessee Tigers, South Haven Christian, and Zion Christian all playing on Friday night. And then everybody minus Zion and Lancaster are playing on Saturday night. So a ton of football coming your way. Of course, Jamborees this weekend, next weekend. Yep, messed that up. Yep, it is the Magnolia Wildcats. I know on the screen it says Warriors. Ignore that. It's supposed to be Wildcats. Yep, goof that up. That one's on me. So, anywho, yeah. So Jamboree this weekend. Let me see. Did I send that incorrectly? And of course I'll be there. We won't be streaming anything, but definitely be checking out checking out the action and just seeing some good football. And then on Saturday at 2 p.m., let me switch over to that. Saturday at 2 p.m., we will have the second annual SEEC Media Day. It'll be broadcast right here on 8-Man Extreme, and we'll have teams from the SEEC. Would love to get some local media outlets from each of the areas that the schools are from in the conference. Would love to get them involved and either sending in questions or being there on site. And if they can't be there on site, then they can send in questions and those will get asked. So very excited about that. Again, that is Saturday, August the 3rd at 2 p.m. as you see there on your screen. And then to back up, it's not the only media day happening this week. On Wednesday, you have the ACSC Media Day. This is their 3rd annual media day that they'll be hosting, and that'll be this Wednesday. Well, I say Wednesday. Hang on. I might have the incorrect date. It's July 31st. Okay, it is Wednesday. 10 a.m. Central is when they will go live. And, of course, you see all the teams there that will be participating: East Central, Evangel, Ezekiel, Lighthouse, and Southern Christian. So a lot of football coming your way, and it starts this week. So excited. Just it's a lot. It's a lot. I get it. But very, very excited about these 2 media days coming up. And there's the info for the SEC Media Day, Southeastern Extreme Conference. There's the one for the ACSC, Alabama Christian Sports Conference. So there you go. A lot of football coming up. Like I said, Jamboree. And then next weekend, we will be in Gatlinburg. Now, a lot of teams are playing their first game that weekend. Some teams are playing their first games up in Gatlinburg next Saturday, August the 10th. We'll be there broadcasting all the games. 8-man and 11-man. We'll have all of it. JV games, varsity games. We got it. All right, right here. This channel right here is where you can get it. Now, if you're an Evangel fan and you want to watch your team's game and hear the amazing crew that they have, that Evangel has for their games, absolutely, go listen to them. Absolutely, no hard feelings. They do an amazing job. I love listening to them when I'm not on the road broadcasting and they're playing a game. Absolutely, but all the other games, or if you're not an Evangel fan and you just want to watch, or maybe you're an Arendelle Parrott fan, you want to watch the games, hop on over here. We'll have the broadcast as well. So, or you can compare the two of us. You can see, a little competition there. No, I'm just kidding. No, like I said, love the guys over at Evangel and their broadcast, and they do a great job over there. So very excited about that. But this weekend, football is back. Love it. It's been so long. I think it seems like forever since December when we were in Gatlinburg doing the All-American games. And then non-All-American games, we haven't had one since 1st of November. Well, I say 1st of November, like the second weekend of November. So it's been a minute. It's been way too long. But we're back with some football. So very, very excited about that. And again, you can catch it all right here on 8-Man Extreme. In terms of the Southeastern Extreme Conference Media Day on Saturday, you can go to I did neglect to mention the ACSC Media Day on Wednesday. It will be on their YouTube channel. So let me pull this up real quick because I want to give a shout out to their YouTube channel. It is ACSC Online on YouTube. ACSC Online. We'll post a link for it probably Wednesday morning. We'll post the link and get that information out so that we can check out those guys and see what they have to say about the teams coming up. Obviously, Evangel being in the conference, it's always going to be. And then Lighthouse is always solid. East Central's on the come up. Ezekiel's kind of rebuilding. Southern Christian's on the come up. So a lot of interesting dynamics there. And so we'll hear that media day on Wednesday. So that being said, I also want to give a big shout out. I don't know if I've mentioned this so far. I want to give a shout out to Fairlife Core Power. Once again, they are sponsoring Offensive and Defensive Player of the Week awards every week this season. And so we'll be looking through different performances that guys give on Friday nights and Saturday nights, how they do on offense, how they do on defense. One of the criteria is how close was the game, because you can have a guy go off for 200-300 yards, 5 touchdowns, whatever, and they blew the team out like 60-6. So come on, that's not as impressive as maybe a 1 or 2 score game where you put up 200 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's impressive, because that's a very even matchup, and the fact that you stood out and did super well. Or on defense, close game, you got 10 tackles, a sack, and a pick, and it was a 1-score game. Okay, you made even if your team lost, you still made an impact to help make that game as close as it could be. And so those are the kind of guys we're looking for this season. But thank you to Fairlife Core Power for being the sponsor, and of course the Offensive and Defensive Player of the Weeks. They'll get the t-shirt that we sent out last year. I don't remember if I posted a picture of it or not, but they'll get the t-shirt. They will get a case of the 3 different flavors of Fairlife Core Power. Chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry banana. So a case of 12 bottles rather. So 3 cases, so 36 bottles. It's a lot of protein milk. A lot of protein milk. So get all those guys. We'll get all those guys squared away and taken care of, and make sure that they can recover to the best of their ability. And again, a big thank you to Fairlife Core Power for sponsoring that. At this time, let's go ahead and get our first guest queued up. And again, I want to give a big thank you to to Sutton Pools LLC for sponsoring all of the interviews this season with all the coaches. And joining me now is the head coach from Riverside Christian Academy, Coach Travis Creasy. Coach, I appreciate you taking the time to join me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the invite. It's good to talk to you again, James.
Coach, it's been a while. It's been a while since we've gotten to do this. I'm just going to go ahead and get it out of the way. Let's talk about how the first run ended. And obviously, some people know the story, some people don't. Just would you mind giving us a brief synopsis of everything that's happened and just how awesome God's been to you?
Yeah, so I don't know how I'm going to go back.
Let's start. What was it? 2019.
Because it goes back a ways.
That's true.
2018, diagnosed with leukemia. Coached towards the end of the season there. 2019 came back, coached, made the Division I playoffs of the MTAC, and then 2020 came back and won Division II, and then left coaching for a while, and now I'm back. So about 4 years there, which is kind of crazy.
Oh yeah, it's been a while since we've seen something like that happen, and coming back to obviously that was huge, beating leukemia and God giving you the victory with that, and obviously we were involved with the story, trying to help out. I've still got the Coach Creasy T-shirt hanging up right
Yeah.
behind me, the black shirt, love it. But getting to come back to coaching and the process, the decision to do that. Talk us through that a little bit in terms of getting back into it.
Well, 2020, you take a chance. Obviously 2019, 2020 was crazy for everybody. And,
Yeah, yeah,
at the time, and I still have younger kids, elementary age, but I had really young kids, and they'd never got to experience time when I wasn't coaching football. And so I felt like that was a good time to kind of step away. And, as 2024 rolls around, feel like I'm ready to get back in, and just wrapped up varsity camp. So if I sound a little tired, it's because I am knocking the rust off a little bit. So
yeah, yeah. Um, Obviously, so Riverside doesn't have varsity football during 21 and 22, and you having been the coach to lead the programs since 2013, correct? Was first
yes,
year
sir.
as head coach, leading the program since 2013. You guys go to all the playoff games. You win the titles. You do all this, and then you get to a point where you say, "Hey, I've got to step away." And then not having varsity football be around, how heavy did that weigh on you to try and get back involved with that, or was that something where you said, "You know what, God's got a plan for it"?
Well, as you well know, football is hard to step away from completely.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so kind of always in the background, taking on a more secondary role, and always offering my assistance to whoever was leading the program. You don't want to be overbearing. You don't want to be in the way, but you want to support. I felt like we did that. And my hat's off to Coach Chalmers on bringing the program back. That's not something that happens very often.
no,
And
no,
so when it went away, you have that in your mind, like, man, it's going to be real hard to get back. And they won a game last year, but they were in several. The first game they played in varsity football, I think they were leading at halftime. And
yeah,
so
yeah.
a lot of strides, a lot of good leadership. Some of those guys are back, and looking forward to getting after it again.
Now, with you taking over the role, and obviously you guys had just joined Seek, and it was going to be your first year in the conference after being independent last year. Um, Going into a new conference, you've got some opponents you guys have never played before. You got some opponents you have, but you've got some new opponents that you guys have never played before. You've got some new competition. How exciting is that? And then what are some of the things that you guys are doing to get ready for that new competition that, guys like Chattanooga where nobody knows what they've got?
Yeah, and I've been gone long enough that there are some people out there that are like, "Who's this Travis Creasy guy?" But the coaches that I know, I think the conference is in good hands. I mean, just tremendous leadership, guys who know what they're doing. So already, getting in, it's going to be a challenge to keep up with those guys, and just great schemes and strategies. And It's nice. We were able to retain the defensive coordinator from last year. Coach Fletcher is just a wealth of
Yeah,
knowledge. He
yeah.
coached out west, played in a couple of state championship games out there, 8-man football, and done some college level work. So, he's just seems like he's got a scheme or something for everything, or film that goes all the way back. And so me and him together, I'm learning at his feet, to be honest. So that's exciting. And then Riley Hall's joined the staff
Yeah, yeah.
from Faulkner, and so he's bringing kind of a college knowledge that I wouldn't have. I didn't mean to rhyme there, but it works. Marcus Whitworth,
Spitting bars.
I'm telling you, Marcus Whitworth's on the staff. We got Davey Hines, who also played at the college level. So surrounding yourself with people who have played 8-man. I never played 8-man football, so you've got guys on the staff who played the game. They know how the difference is. They've played at a higher level. And so, man, I just got a ton of support staff. And then on top of that, we got Matt Tucker, who joined as our strength and conditioning coach. And let me tell you, this summer has been amazing strides in the weight room for all of Riverside Athletics, but that's been a huge difference.
When you talk about having guys like Marcus and like Riley on board, not only has guys like Riley played at a high level and played 8-man, but they've played it recently, so they've played during what the trends of the game are right now. I mean, obviously you have coaching for so long, you haven't coached for so long, there's ebbs and flows to it. I mean, when you first got into it, it was a different game. You had your Aaron academies, you had your teams that were looking to just pound the ball and run the ball, and obviously it just reflects football in general. Over the last few years, there's been a change, but you have guys that have played in what the game is now, and so it seems like that would help y'all a lot.
Yeah, they got tons of energy, and man, they just keep me on my toes. Our staff all have tons of energy. Like I said, varsity camp, chasing not only the boys, the players around, making sure they're running and doing what they should do. I got to keep up with them coaches too. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I've never played it. I didn't experience it. I've only seen it from the sidelines. And so those guys coming in with the experience, seeing it firsthand there's just so much value there. As far as the coaches, like I said, they're great. I'm looking forward to playing some of these teams that we haven't. I'm sure that they will pose a challenge that will be new and exciting. So we'll try to be about it.
Yeah, well, that's the coaches. Let's talk about the players a little bit. Obviously, you've got guys that played middle school during the couple years that varsity wasn't around. You had the guys that were on the team last year, but coming into this year, who were some of the guys to keep an eye on? Either just based off of how they did last year, or some guys who have stepped up over the offseason, kind of taken a leadership role. Who are some of those guys we're going to keep an eye out for this year?
Well, I think you start. I think any football conversation usually starts with the quarterback. We got Ben Rebelski coming back, and with a year underneath his belt, you feel like there'll be a lot of improvement there.
Who's got a
You
little
got
bit of a pedigree at the quarterback position, by the way.
Yeah, he's got some folks, and the fact that I coached his older brother at quarterback, and he still came back and played for me. That's a pretty big deal. A lot of grace and mercy there.
Yeah, yeah.
We got 5 seniors: Ben Rebelski, Elijah Barrett, Jack Baker, Colton Drake, both played last year for us, and Brody Clark, who will be a new player. And it always starts with your seniors, but then it's kind of weird because we're heavy on seniors. We got 5 of those, and then in between them and the freshmen, we've got 3 players, and then we've got a loaded freshman group.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of talent there. I think most of them all played last year, except maybe one. So
You've got to be excited, or you had to be excited looking at it last year when the program comes back at the varsity level, seeing the participation, and obviously it wasn't a 30-man roster, but the fact that y'all were able to put a team on the field and Coach Chalmers kind of got that going, that had to be encouraging to you, just to know that, hey, it's not dead here, guys aren't tired of it, we're still going to be able to do this. That had to be encouraging to you.
Oh yeah, I mean it's tough to really share the emotions of seeing them come out of the field house and take the field kind of united, and then to have a successful first half and really show some grit, couple of goal line stands. I mean, stuff that you don't expect from a group of guys who haven't been together that long. I was reviewing the film just the other day because we start off with Zion again at their place. And so just to watch that film and see the experience, and really a lot of those guys, you wouldn't expect that, but they showed a lot of grit and toughness. And so a very proud moment to see that happen. And I even told them before the game, I said, you guys took the field. Now, there's no moral victories per se because you got to get the W's at some point.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the fact that you took the field is a big deal that should not be undersold.
Yeah, I think the last time a program didn't have a team, there was a co-op, but they didn't have a team, came back. I think it was the Heat in like 2016, maybe.
I think you're right.
2016, 2017. So it's only happened a couple times, most of the times. And I think Pleasant View, I've talked about Pleasant View possibly bringing varsity back, so that'll only be the third time it's happened. It's so tough to kind of get that excitement level built back up.
And I think if you see COVID, I think you're going to see maybe more opportunities for things like that. Now that kind of COVID, hopefully, obviously there's people still dealing with it, but I think that's going to only help. I think there'll be participation growing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's got to be exciting to have football back there at the school in terms of, people have something to do on Friday nights, though, or, every once in a while another night. But on Friday nights during the fall, there's now football back. There's nothing like it. You can't replace it with anything. That's got to be exciting for the school, and I'm sure everybody's really really hyped up for this year.
Yeah, it's exciting. You may have seen the video. We've rebranded as a school.
That logo is sharp.
A new president who's really Lois Mays has stepped in, and she's really taken off. Supports the sports program like crazy. And if you come down here to Fayetteville, I'm sure you'll get an opportunity to meet her because she's very excited about sports and a lot of momentum there.
Coach, that logo is sharp. That is that's got to be a top 3 logo in the conference. That's got to be.
I'm going to have to pass that along to my wife because she was instrumental in putting that together.
Absolutely.
So she'll be happy to hear that.
Absolutely. Pass it on. And I'm excited to meet the headmaster. Obviously, you guys getting to host the championship game, conference championship game this year. Something that you guys really haven't had an opportunity to do in the past, maybe, but getting to show off not just the school and the field, but I think Fayetteville in general is just a great town to host a championship game in. I mean, there's just so much to do down there. It'll be a great atmosphere. Very excited. I'm excited to be at the game this year. And to have it, and obviously you guys have a great facility down there.
Yes, God has been very good to us, and obviously excited to be chosen to host, and I think everybody will be pleasantly surprised. Of course, we'll be happy to be the one hosting the game, playing in the game as well. That's the goal.
There you go.
We'll certainly be happy to have everybody come down.
The conference has still not had a host play in it, so you could set a record there. You can make some history. I want to back it up just a little bit. Obviously, you've been coaching head coach since 2013, but you guys made the transition in 2012. And I believe you were on the staff back then, correct?
Yes, sir.
When you guys make the transition, I don't think we've ever talked about this, but let's talk about that transition a little bit. Obviously, it's something that I don't even know how many people down there knew about it, but you guys coming from TSSAA, 11-man, make the move, and just right off the bat, you guys, within the first 2 or 3 years, were able to be pretty successful. But talk about that transition a little bit and the thought process that went into it, and then just your experience in terms of making the move, and then how the next couple of years played out.
Yeah, we were playing. We not many more players than we got now. We may have been in the 20s at some point, but you're loading up and you're going to play Davidson, who's won 3 of the last 4 state championships, or you're playing private schools where it's 30,000, $30K. You can look up. There's Alan Jackson in the crowd, and you just know, hey, we're going to go compete, and we did, and we were tough nosed, had some good kids. I oftentimes say, had we went a year earlier, 8-man might have kicked us out because we had some guys who who are ready to play and were very good players. But we just got to the point where we kind of looked at it and was like, our numbers dictate a different path. And when we had those conversations as an athletic program, the decision was made to switch, and it's been very good to us. I will say that. It's been a good move, and of course we've had successes. We've taken our lumps, but that's what it's supposed to be, right?
Oh yeah.
You want to get the experience of both, and it's amazing to see a team that maybe we didn't get the wins that we wanted, but you get a chance to come back the next year and you do really well, and then maybe the next year you kind of climb the ladder to the top of the conference. And so there's benefit in all those. It's not a failure if you learn something. So.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and like I said, first couple years, you guys are able to have so many moments. I think about the halfback pass over up
Yeah.
at Ingram, Curry Ingram. Some of the hits you guys had. So I don't know how instrumental you were in coming up, because you guys do a great job. The last couple of weeks you've been putting out some throwback videos, and I don't know how instrumental you are when you do the lists, like the top 10 list, but over your years of coaching, the first round of coaching, what are probably the top 3 moments to you for the program?
Oh man.
I'll put you on the
First
spot
of
here.
all, you're depending on my memory, which is shoddy at best.
Well. So here's the thing. Just whatever first 3 to come to your mind are obviously the 3 most, impressive.
Yeah, and you're also I'm gonna make all these players mad, but I think
don't worry. The next question will do that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think the halfback toss pass is going to be first, just
Yeah.
because it's FCA, and FCA. We had a fun rivalry. It was great.
Oh yeah.
And we had played those guys earlier in the season for homecoming, and it was like 70-50.
Mm.
And so we come out, and they threw it all over the place. We threw it all over the place, and so we came out to protect the pass. When they come out running in the championship game, I don't know that I ate all week, by the way. And we had practiced the halfback toss pass all year. And every game they would come to me, the players, hey, when are we going to run that? It's not time yet.
Yeah.
It's not time yet. It's not time yet. And we had a kickoff. We were losing. We returned it really far. I mean, over past the 50. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the gut feeling, the head, you can call it the Holy whatever. But I was like, it's time.
Yeah.
We're running the play. And then I was like, are they going to be able to handle it? Like, are their nerves going to handle it? Because we've been building up the whole time. And sure enough, we pitched it out to Josh Hill, who, if you pitch it to a guy like Josh Hill, everybody comes up because they know it's going to take everybody to tackle him.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've been very, very particular not to show that he could throw the ball as well as he could all year. And so, he rears up lefty and throws it to Mason Perchetti for the touchdown. Now, the part that's lost is we still had to defend that quick strike offense for a minute and a half. And they had scored quite a bit all night in less time. And so the whole sideline goes nuts. Defensive coordinator walks down, Paul Sane, and he's like, you probably could have took a little more time off the clock. Not excited. He's not losing his mind. He's not mad. He's not emotional. He just walks down as calmly as he could and said, you could have took a little more time, but there you go. That's number 1, I would say. Maybe I shouldn't say number 1, but top 3.
It's in the top 3. We don't have to give a 1 through 3. Just
there
top
you
3.
go. 2020 is going to be hard to beat just because of all the chaos and craziness that happened. Are we going to have a season? Are we not going to have a season? What's going to go on here? And I kind of made the guys a commitment. I said, we got a shot at 500 because we played less games that year. And if we get to the championship and win, that'll give us 500. But with everything that's going crazy, we'll celebrate it like it's the best thing going,
Yeah, yeah.
And so they came through. There was a 4th down play in that championship. FCS had come back, and 4th and long, and Rebelski, the older Rebelski, throws it deep, and one of the Whidden boys goes up, Michael Whidden goes up and brings it down. And you can actually see in the picture, there's 2 pictures. There's one where he's high pointing it, and our sideline is like starting to react, and then he comes down with it, and the sideline's going crazy. And so that would be one off the top of my head. And man, I don't know, a third. It's insane, to be honest, to try and even think about it. Beating FCA probably is in that top 3 somewhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, the rivalry between you guys in FCA and then you guys in Classical could feed generations just for years, as the
Yeah,
kids would say.
yeah,
Um, Obviously, everyone knows, everyone that kind of follows you on social media, they know how big of an Alabama fan you are. Unfortunately, no, I'm just kidding. They
yes.
know
I
how
need
big of an
forgiveness.
Alabama fan you are. They also know how big of a wrestling fan you are. So I gotta ask, which one were you more sad about? Um, Saban retiring or the Undertaker retiring?
Oh, Saban,
Saban?
easily,
Yeah.
easily. Yeah. It was really cool though because we got to take my kids down to Tuscaloosa last year for their first, at Alabama football game,
Yeah.
and so they can say they saw Nick Saban, coach a football game, and so that's really neat. I also was very tempted to go out to the Rose Bowl. I love the Rose Bowl,
Yeah.
James.
Yeah.
It's like my favorite bowl. And I even remember talking to my wife, like, man, they're in the Rose Bowl. This could be Nick Saban's last year. I should go. And I chickened out. I didn't go. And so I'm like, man, I should have went. But, oh, definitely Nick Saban. There was probably a couple of days there where I didn't talk very much. So good memories.
Seems like you speak for a lot of Alabama fans
Oh, yes. Yeah,
after
I'm
after
sure.
after that happened. When you look at your schedule this year, and obviously you guys have your division games and cross division, but is there one game that when you look at it you can go, I'm really excited for this game?
Um, the Zion game, um, going up there. Now, like you said, you've already thrown out there that I'm old as the hills and have been around the program forever. Um, but when we played 11 man, Zion was one of the closer teams that we traveled to.
Yeah.
Um, and so that'll be interesting. It'll be a different field. I think at that point they were playing on a different field of some, but I would say that one, and that's an easy answer. It's a good answer. It's a politically correct answer
There you
because they're
go.
the first one. But
There you
so
go.
it'll be interesting to kind of restart that. It's kind of that full circle moment.
Is
It
there?
would have been one of my first games coaching here, and
Yeah.
now
Yeah. That's fair.
back again. So
Well, in Trinity, the week two, the Trinity game has to be special as well. Just first game back there on campus. That one's got to be kind of highlighted too.
yeah, it'll be kind of a surreal moment. And what I have learned in 43 years is never tell the Lord never. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
when people would ask me, are you coming back? When are you going to come back? It was always, well, I never say never
yep.
because things happen a certain way. And I just want to serve these guys and their families and be there for them. It's kind of awesome when, people have been gone from playing for you for years and they still call you coach and they have kind things to say. That's really a great thing. It's championships are great. W's are great. We're going to try to get as many of those as you can, but it's relationships. It really is.
If you get it to have a hand in putting the schedule together next year for Riverside, is there anybody you look at and go, I want to play these guys?
You know, I, James, I'm so like right now in the moment, just trying to get these guys ready to go
That's fair.
and
That's
play in
fair.
a couple of weeks. I'm kind of coming to grips, but it's also been a good thing because, like I said, it's a week to week thing. It's been easier this year to do that than ever because it's kind of, hey, here's the schedule, here's what it is, and so you just kind of focused on that for now. I'm sure that later in the season I'll have better thoughts and a better handle on that. But we look to go back to practice tomorrow night, and middle school is going to join us, and so it's just kind of one of those day to day things. And maybe that's something leukemia taught me. I don't know.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I have a feeling I'm going to get this answer, same answer from every coach, but I have to ask: pregame or postgame meal?
Oh, I like the post game.
See, everyone says postgame, and that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, it's a little more relaxed, even win or lose. Obviously, winning that's preferable. And to be honest, the interesting thing is the road post game meals
Yeah.
because you kind of get to rehash what everything's going on, how everybody's feeling. You get to kind of check in, and if it's a jubilant win, that's great. You prefer that, but even in the losses, you kind of get a feeling of where everybody's at and how they're taking it, and you kind of let that feed and inform practice for the next week. So
What's the preferred post game meal?
oh man, we keep the roads hot so often on the road. It's on I-65 there, but
Yeah,
if we
yeah.
hadn't stopped anywhere before that Love's / Arby's, that's usually the stop.
There you go. There you go.
That's not necessarily the game plan, but a lot of times it works out that way.
Real quick, because I got to get Coach Honeycutt on here, but I do want to ask you, what we hit the Buc-ee's? What are we getting?
Something brisket, right?
Oh yeah, you got to. I don't know.
Something with
Know. They've
brisket.
got a Texas cheesesteak burrito, Coach. Whew, it's good stuff.
I have to check that out when I have time to have stomach issues. So.
That's fair. That's fair, Coach. I appreciate you joining me, and excited about this season. Looking forward to seeing what y'all are able to do.
Appreciate what you guys do, and God bless you, man.
Thank you, Coach. We'll see you. It's Coach Travis Creasy from Riverside Christian Academy, and again, big thank you to Sutton Pools for sponsoring all of the interviews this season. Ran a little over time there, but just good conversations with Coach, and to see the story and how it's all played out, and just the masterpiece that God has put together. It's incredible, and love to see him back on the field. Obviously, super thankful for Coach Chalmers. Getting the program restarted, get everything back up and running, and just did an incredible job. Even tried to restart it in 2022, didn't quite work out in 2023, able to get it going again. So very thankful for him, but excited to see what Coach Creasy is able to do this season. Let's get our next interview queued up, and again, this interview is presented as well by Sutton Pools LLC. And joining me now is the head coach of the Magnolia Wildcats. Ignore what's on the screen, folks. It's the Magnolia Wildcats. Coach Honeycutt, thank you for joining me.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
So the Magnolia Wildcats, let's tell everybody a little bit about the program, and then give a little bit of the history of what got y'all to start it, and then maybe even just a little bit of your coaching history.
Yeah, so basically the Magnolia Wildcats were a newly formed homeschool athletic program. We do allow students that possibly go to like church schools or schools that don't offer sports of any kind. We do allow exceptions for that. Our grades of participation and ages are 6 through 12, as well as 12 years old to 18. We originally started as 8-man football, but over the summer we have expanded into softball.
There you go.
Now we have a cheer team as well, so we do have some coaches helping out with that as well. So
nice.
Our program is slowly growing as a whole, but yeah, me and my business partner, Preston Peoples, he was homeschooled. I went to a private school, Hillcrest Christian in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yep.
And we kind of came together and we realized there are no homeschool football programs of any kind in the entire state of Mississippi.
Oh, wow.
And
really?
We knew there were a lot of kids that had the potential to play, but just, they don't go past rec league.
Yeah.
At that point, they're doing other sports. So we came together, we put some more feelers out to everybody on social media, and we got a pretty good feedback from the homeschool community, and we decided around the middle of November, end of November, to start the Magnolia Wildcats, and kind of picked a name that paid homage to the state, but also gave it a good representation. And after we announced the formation of our team, started putting the pieces together, scheduling, more teams started forming around the state. The Pine Belt Spartans down in Hattiesburg, Faith Christian Homeschool in Madison, they slowly started forming, and now we have come to a situation where now we need a conference because we want to give these kids a chance to play in a championship.
Right.
We are now in a new conference called the Mid-South Christian Football League, and there are 5 teams of it. Us, the Pine Belt Spartans of Hattiesburg, Faith Christian Homeschool in Madison, Mississippi, Faith Explorers in Byron, Mississippi, and Slidell Homeschool Saints in Slidell, Louisiana, that used to be the New Orleans Homeschool Saints.
Right. There you go.
And
it's awesome whenever just the opportunity to see a need for something like that, and then maybe you think there's a need and you're like, well, let's just kind of see if there's any interest, and then to get the interest and to get the participation, that's a huge step too.
Right.
And obviously, everybody knows
Yeah.
about the MAIS and the schools in it. I didn't realize there were no homeschool football programs in Mississippi. That's wild.
Right. And people, I've seen people try to do it, but it never really lasted past half the season or half after the first season. So we're hoping to kind of change that narrative and show that, hey, these homeschool kids, yeah, they play basketball, baseball, but they can definitely play football.
Yeah.
And we find a lot of kids that are very talented. Some of them are young, but very talented at the age that they are, which makes us even more excited once they become juniors and seniors. So that's something that we're really looking forward to, not only this season, but as we build the program towards the future.
Well, and I think the biggest step in getting something off the ground, and not just getting off the ground but sustaining it, is what you talked about, where now you have 4 or 5 teams together. You've got a conference instead of everybody just kind of doing their independent thing, and maybe startups in the past have tried to do it independently. The fact that you guys have created a conference, there's some accountability there, there's some structure there. That's a huge step towards longevity, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you on that because, of course, initially our first thought was, we wanted to give these kids not really a reason to play, but more of a goal to play to
Right.
the end of the season, to work hard. And, I've had a couple kids that have always asked me, will we have a championship, or who's our opponent's going to be? Any kids like us? And that's kind of what really started the whole idea about us forming a league in the first place, because now we are in a situation where we've opened the door for more teams to see us and be like, hey, if they can do this, we can do it. And, there's plenty of homeschool athletic associations in the state of Mississippi, the Jackson Victors, Muddy River Counselors, Hattiesburg Forerunners, teams like that have been around for a long time that have never had the chance to have football, and they can see this as an opportunity to sort of expand their athletic program to add football. So it really is a good way, as the state as a whole, to kind of give it that sort of representation, especially when all the states surrounding it have homeschool football teams, 8-man or 11-man.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that with your schedule, obviously you've got your conference opponents, but you guys are also going to get to take on a couple MAIS teams too. Going into those games, what are you preaching? What's the message going into those games as opposed to maybe the conference games, or is it the same? I mean, what's the approach like with both of those? Obviously, the MAIS teams have been around for a little bit longer, like a Wilkinson County Christian, or even like a Mississippi School for the Deaf. They've been around for a little bit. So what's the message going into both of those types of games?
I try to tell them at the end of every practice, no matter who we play, they're starting off 0-0 just like we are. And
Yeah.
whether they've had years of experience running this or they're brand new, just like some of the teams we play, I try to teach them that they're not that different from us. They are starting off fresh with a new team, different from the previous one. So I try to give them that little bit of positivity, especially those that are new to football and never played. Like the kids that I have that started in January, February, March are completely different from the kids I have at the end of July. They have shown they're willing to work. They're showing a lot of improvement. I mean, we had a spring game in May where we showed up with 21 kids who were missing kids. We now have about 32, 33 because they were all busy with their respective sports in baseball and soccer. And we won 30-6. That was a good momentum builder for us going into the year. And that kind of helped us over the summer, kind of showing everybody, hey, this team actually is legit. And once we started scheduling more private schools to help fill out our schedule aside from conference games, that really kind of cemented us as a legitimate contender and a team. And we do have some hard opponents. River Oaks, I've heard they're looking to be very, very strong this year with a couple of possible Division I prospects. So that's something that we personally are looking very much forward to, because that's something that can really test our players, especially some of the players that we have now who are actually being looked at by Division I, Division II, Division III schools themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of those players, Coach, let's talk about some of the guys that we're going to keep an eye on this year. Obviously, we had Andrew Caps on from Rocky Top Sports World, and several Wildcats were on his list for the 2025 and 2026 class. But guys who have worked over the past, worked hard over the past offseason, kind of stood out. I just want to remind everybody of those names. So, who are some of those guys to keep an eye on this upcoming year?
Well, Dylan Britt, he's 16-year-old junior, big kid, 6'4", 315. He has shown a lot of improvement, not just in his play calling, also his leadership. And we have a young team, despite the fact that we have juniors and seniors. They're 16 years old, 17 years old. We don't have a single player that's above the age of 17, even at the end of the year. So we have a very, very young team for both junior varsity and varsity. So you really kind of, as a coach, look at that and you say, wow, I can't wait to see how he's going to be once he turns 17 or 18 and he's of that age. And they're so young to be leaders, but they've really showed it on and off the field. And, a lot of our kids, they come from everywhere. And we have kids that are 10 minutes from our practice field, kids that are an hour and 20 minutes from our practice field, Dylan being one of them. Wow. Him, Trey Stewart, a lot of kids that come from Vicksburg that are an hour away. That kind of just shows hey, they really want to do this because this has never been an opportunity for them. And knowing that they're juniors going into this, they're really eager to kind of show everybody that they can do it and kind of not only build memories, but also give them the opportunity to play in college because they have the athleticism. They just have never had the chance to truly show it other than rec league. So that's something we look at, and we try to help get the kids outreach, kind of show them what to do, to talk with these colleges, kind of get the colleges connected with them because, our lineman, he's being looked at by several private universities. A few Division I schools have even talked to him at a camp he was at recently. And, the few seniors that we have, Braden Donaldson, Corey McGee, they are just pure athleticism, very fast, really good coordination with the ball, and they are very good in the play calling, taking control of the game in case something goes awry. And that's something we want. We understand that there are leaders, there are captains, but we want everybody to function as one unit because our motto on our team is we are family. If one of us is messing up, the whole family's messing up. So that's something I kind of try to teach these kids, especially going into the games against veteran programs that have been around 40, 45 years, way longer than we have.
When you're dealing with a group of kids that maybe have never played football before, they've watched it, or maybe they played rec league or something, but they've never strapped on a pair of pads for a varsity football game. When you're working with kids like that, what's one of the most difficult things to kind of teach them or communicate to them about to kind of get them up to speed and kind of acclimated to the way the game is played?
Well, that was kind of why we did our spring training as early as we did, because we knew going in there were going to be a lot of kids that were eager to play but have never been in that situation where they're hitting, they're tackling. So we kind of took the method of, rather than just throwing them in on a date, we ease them into it, helmets, then shoulder pads, then full pads, and we work on drills during practice on certain days of the week. So it's really a matter of just getting them used to the fact that they're going to be hitting at full force, so they can prepare for that once it's game time. Because obviously, you're going to hit, you're going to be sore, but once you kind of build a tolerance to that and get used to it, then it's not going to be as bad once game time comes around.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously you guys, most of your games there in state, you got to travel for a couple of games. You mentioned River Oaks. Who's the other one? Northeast Baptist, kind of traveling a little bit for that. So when you do have to travel, and it's, a good little haul, not crazy, but a decent little haul, have you guys already talked about some of the strategies to maybe help the players with the trip and maybe staying loose, or just what that process looks like?
I try to remind them that you're going into a game at their place. You're going into uncharted territory. So you have to be mentally focused. You have to be physically focused, eating right the day before that, day of, making sure you're stretched in the morning and in the afternoon. So when the evening comes around, you're not cramping up or all tight. And those long rides, obviously, you got to be pondering over what's going to happen in the game. I try to make sure that they all understand, listen, we're all going to go there. We're all going to focus. We're going to work together. And we're going to either come out of this game with a win or a loss. Regardless, we're going to give it 110% on the field. So I try to remind them of that and just tell them, study your playbooks, talk to each other, try to work out a game plan if you need to communicate, like the wide receivers, the quarterback, center, the linemen, all of that. So try to get them being more communicating, because I feel like doing that, especially when the main way we get to all these games is through carpool, it kind of builds a lot of team chemistry, because those trips are where you make memories with your friends
Oh,
and teammates.
100%, yeah.
I think that really benefits them, especially once we get ready for game time.
You might say the first game of the year, Wilkinson County Christian, and that's fair. That's completely fair answer. But when you look at the schedule, is that the game that you point at and go, I can't wait for that game? Or is there another game you look at and go, you know what, I can't wait for that game?
That first game, obviously we're all going into it with a little bit of a nervous mindset because it's our first true football game. But I would say the games that we are looking forward to the most out of them all is the first game of the season, River Oaks, because we know how much of a challenge that's going to be, and our division game against the Pine Belt Spartans, because I've been in close connection with their coach, and they started forming after talking with him, and we see that as a possible rivalry game for years to come. So I would say those three games are something that we as a whole group are looking forward to, and my players have told me they're excited to play River Oaks because of just knowing how much talent's on that team, and that's kind of how they want to set the bar and compare their talent to go up against.
When you put the schedule together next year, obviously you got to work on, this year's set. You're focused on this year, but in terms of looking long term, maybe for the program and kind of game planning a little bit, is there anybody that you look at and go, I want to play these guys?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Hillcrest Christian in Jackson, Park Place in Pearl, Mississippi, Discovery Christian in Florence. I know those are kind of easy pickings because they're close games, but,
No, it's
those are
completely
also
fair.
those are also schools that I not only played against, but I played for, because I played at Hillcrest.
Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
sort of something I see myself as playing against them as like, I wonder if I can beat my home school. But obviously this first year we work with what we got because the MIS is in their rotation. So hopefully next year we'll be able to get a better, more organized schedule in terms of distance and more easy transport.
Have you guys been able to talk to any other programs that are maybe looking at what you guys are doing this year and kind of watching to see how it goes and saying, you know what, maybe if it works out, we'll jump on board with them?
We've thought about that, and with how new we are, we see playing against them as one of those things where, can we see this as a game where it can be a rivalry for years to come?
Well, I'm talking about programs that don't have football right now, maybe looking at you guys and going, let's see how this goes.
Yeah, we've talked to a few schools around the area. St. Augustine, they're a school that has been in the MIS for a while, and they've never had football ever. And we've been in communication with them, like either giving them the option to have some of their players play for us, or give them the blueprints on how to start their own athletic football program. And, I see the growth and potential that a lot of these, mix of private institutions as well as homeschool organizations, they have the resources to possibly start a football program. It's just a matter of how much participation and positive feedback you get from it in order to start it. Because that's what we had to do. And that was obviously the hardest part about getting this program started, was how many people are going to look at this and say, that is something we want to support and what we want to do. Because our program doubled overnight when the new year started, because we gained a bunch of eighth graders.
Yeah.
That convinced us to start a JV team. So now we have a 6-game JV schedule and a 10-game varsity schedule with some freshmen playing up and down.
Man, that's awesome. That's cool. That Mississippi School for the Deaf game, obviously being right there in Jackson, they've got a beautiful field, beautiful setup. That one's got to be an exciting one to look at too, in terms of getting the chance to to not have to drive across the country. I'm just kidding, but not having to travel, into another state. You get to play a game almost right there in your backyard. That's got to be one exciting one too.
Oh, very much so. It's only 20 minutes from where most of us are. They have a beautiful new stadium, and from what I've been told, it's turf.
Yeah,
From what I've been told, I've not had
everything I've seen, it looks like it.
And I'm sure a lot of those kids who've never been in that big of a setting, they'll get to play in a big stadium with a nice turf field. And those are the types of memories that I feel like those kids will really cherish, playing in places like that. And, especially games that are like they can have family and friends be able to make it. I feel like that's something they will also appreciate as well.
Yeah, that'll be huge. Obviously, first year as a head coach, but have you gotten the chance to think about, or maybe based off previous experience, are we going to do pregame meal or postgame meal if we can only pick one?
That's a tough one because pregame
you
meal,
can't
obviously,
go.
I want them eating right.
Yeah, you can't. Well, like for you, you can't go into the game hungry.
Oh man, that's for sure. I may be biased in this, a nice steak before a game. Obviously got to have that protein. But post game, I don't know. It's honestly a situation of whatever's open.
Yeah.
I'm not picky about that because all I'm focused on is how the outcome's going to be at the end of the game, and if we win, we'll try to celebrate as much as we can where we're at.
Nope, that's fair. That's fair. Coach, I appreciate you joining me, and looking forward to seeing what the Wildcats, not the Warriors, the Wildcats, do this upcoming season. Appreciate you jumping on, and good luck the rest of the season.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. It's Coach James Honeycutt from the Magnolia Wildcats, and again, a big thank you to Sutton Pools for sponsoring all of the interviews this season. We'll turn that input down. I didn't mention it at the top of the show. Obviously, some people have seen the post, some people haven't. We were going to have Mr. Andrew Capps from Rocky Top Sports World on today. That was the plan. He had to back out of it because of the area he was in, not having signal. So be sure to keep an eye on the Gatlinburg Bowl Instagram and Twitter. They'll be releasing the watch list for the Rising Stars game, the cheerleader watch list, and then they'll also be releasing some 11-man watch lists if you're interested in that. So head over there to their social media to keep an eye on that. And he does a great job with that. The lists look great. It's been fun talking to him the last couple weeks. He should be back on next week to talk about the Black Bear Brawl, the first record-counting football that we have. But football is back this Friday, just in general, with the Jamboree up in White House, Tennessee. So if you get the opportunity, swing by, check out some football. It's back. We don't have to wait any longer. With no further delay, we have it. We have football this weekend. We also have the ACSC Media Day on Wednesday, SEEC Media Day on Saturday. Very, very excited about that. Let's do it. First, again, big thank you to Complete Real Estate for sponsoring the show today. Big thank you to Sutton Pools for sponsoring all the interviews with all season long. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you on Saturday. See ya!